There he is, ladies and gentlemen, all dressed up in his red sweatshirt. Thank you. Phil Gruber, and the red background, the red, you're like a cosmic wizard, Phil.
Yeah, Alan.
Now, Phil, welcome.
Thank you, Alan. It's great to be here. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Portal to Ascension. The reason I was going to wear a mask today because I'm having lots of dental work done. And once you've seen me toothless, that's the way you'll always see me. So I put in some teeth in the meantime, in the interim. But if they get kind of loose, I'm going to have to put on the mask. Because once you've seen the toothless Phil, again, that's how you'll always see him. Anyway, hi, everybody. It's great to be here again, 6 o'clock in the morning, Neil. Anyway, but this is a good time. I just woke up. I woke up from just a really, really deep sleep, a really, really strange dream, a huge download. Alan, did you want to say something?
No. I just wanted to catch up with you a little bit, but no, go ahead, proceed. You're doing
okay. Well, first and foremost, how's my futon doing?
Phil, just so people don't know the inside joke, Phil was my roommate. When was that, Phil? About 30 years ago?
Yes, on and off, starting in 1990, in the 90s, I guess.
So when he moved out, he took my futon. But anyway, that's an old, it's an old, we'll do our shtick about that some other time.
I think we ought to put that up for auction on eBay. A lot of heavy hitters have sat there, sat on that futon.
But I want to know what you're doing today. Where are you going with us? Where are you taking us?
Okay, here it is. I'm glad you asked that question.
I also
I really like
Adam Phil was an inspiration.
But I will say, Benjamin Franklin said, nothing inevitable in this world. No. What did he say about death and taxes? What's the exact quote?
Two things you can't avoid.
Well, he was wrong about that.
He certainly was.
Death is not inevitable, and taxes are not inevitable either. Take it from me.
Okay, take it from you.
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question now. What I'd like to do, I'd like these next 30 minutes or so to be like a meditation, to be like an initiation, okay? To be like an activation. You know, I'll be doing talks, and people will be saying or thinking, well, when are we going to get to the techniques? When are we going to get to the process, the activation? Well, I wonder if people really, really realize that the words are the activation. The words are the initiation. All forms of language, whether they're written, spoken, sung, chanted, toned, will convert into electrical impulse in the body, and they're electromagnetic, they're mathematical programs, and they will open up the gates of light, letting more light and illuminate that which existed in the darkness, but now is illuminated. So what I would like everyone to do is just let this information wash over you. Let it be like an initiation. Let it be like an activation, because the truth is, the words, the voice, everything about this is the activation, the knowledge. Knowledge is the key. This is what our people perish from. Lack of knowledge, certainly the utilization of knowledge. Yes, the truth will set us free, but what do you do with the truth? You have to be the truth. So I'd like everybody just to really relax, breathe easily and gently, deeply as you comfortably can, because we want to get this into the solar plexus. We want to get this breath, the abdominal breath, into the solar plexus, because the solar plexus is the gateway to the universal treasury. Charles Haanel says it in the first lesson of the Master Key. The great secret of life, not just a secret, the great secret of life is in the coordination of two very special centers. He was talking about the brain and the solar plexus to really feel a feeling, to really get to access the depth of feeling you need to make the changes you need to make. To access the depth of the emotion, you need to access the solar plexus. It is not the heart. It is the solar plexus, which directs the sympathetic nervous system, which controls the physical expression of all of our emotions. So if you want to really express them, get to the depth of that emotion. And of course, that's just half of it. There are neuroreceptors for the neurohormones and neurochemicals that actually manifest that emotion for you. So it's really two parts, but the solar plexus is the key. Write to me at Phil Gruber, or someone, I guess I recognize a lot of names in the chat. If you write to me, or someone can put it in the chat, the link that I always send people for that amazing pamphlet written by William Walker Atkinson under the pseudonym of Theron Q. Dumont, the solar plexus or the abdominal brain. This is the missing link to the law of attraction. You have to feel it. You have to feel it deeply. You have to feel it passionately. But to do that, you've got to involve the solar plexus. Period. End of story. So again, before we start, and Kiyoshi, wow, if you're still on, that was awesome. And Adam, let me tell you, Adam Apollo comes from a very, very ancient root. Apollo means not many. Not many. It's an affirmation of oneness, Apollo. When Jesus himself, through Mary Magdalene, in the Pistis Sophia, talks about the true secret of forgiveness. And it's never been about blame. It's been about, what do you need to do to be a giver? It's for the act of giving. What do you need to be a clear, 6 o'clock in the morning, not bad. What do you need to be a clear, open channel that grace can not only come into you, but come through you into the world? For forgiveness, you've got to apologize. Apollo means not many. So when you apologize, if you think you've done wrong, if you think you've been violated, if you allowed yourself, if you've been ignorant or naive enough to allow yourself to be violated, or if you have violated, you ask forgiveness by making apology. Because every time you apologize, you are affirming oneness. And Jesus himself says in the Pistis Sophia, with progressive apology, the soul is declared innocent of all intensifications of karma. And much of this comes from the wonderful Doctor's Hurtak commentary on the Pistis Sophia. It's a very, very, there you go. It's a very, very difficult one to read without the commentary. And the Academy of Future Science, their Pistis Sophia, their commentary is second to none. What an interesting expression. So again, with progressive apology, the soul is declared innocent. This is all about our return to innocence. When Jesus was scanning the world looking for a mother to birth through, he said he was looking for a virgin, right? Again, from the Pistis Sophia. Jesus actually describes the process, how he chose his mother. He was looking for a virgin, and aside from the oldest roots in the old Proto-Aramaic Canaanite, yes, it means a young girl, but it also means a creative energy, a female creative energy in a state of innocence. In other words, one that doesn't have any karma, one that doesn't create the condition known as karma, manifested as miasms by using the great gift and power of our thoughts. Because what good would it have done for either of the Jeshuas, we'll talk about that in a minute, to birth into this world with disabilities, were birthing through parents, or especially a mother, with unresolved karma. So he was looking for a virgin. He was looking for an innocent. And this is all our return to innocence. Let's see, any other thank yous here? Anyway, Phil Gruber, April, can you post that, please? My email address, Phil Gruber 153@hotmail.com. I love Adam Apollo's set too. It looks like a Black Mirror set. I love it. Phil Gruber, there you go. Thank you, April. Phil Gruber 153@hotmail.com. So here we go. Everybody please breathe deeply. Daffy Duck. You know, the original Warner Brothers animators, illustrators, they're all high-ranking occultists in Germany. The Fleischer brothers, the early Warner Brothers animators and illustrators left Germany when Hitler was coming into power. There are stuff, and I should just do a workshop on cartoons. You would not believe the stuff that's in cartoons. Certainly, you know, back to in the beginning. Anyway, talking about beginnings, breathe easily and gently, comfortably, but as deeply as you comfortably can. Nice, gentle abdominal breaths. Don't write this down. There's no need to do it. You've got it. You're getting it. This is the initiation. Okay. Our race, the Turanusian race, the original race of angelic immortals, was created 560 million years ago in what we call harmonic universe 2. This is dimensions 4, 5, and 6, the angelic levels, a semi-etheric physical matter system. And we were seeded on Earth 3 times by elder races, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And our evolutionary blueprint is that of the 12-strand, what we call the diamond sun DNA matrix. And aren't these the biggest questions we ask ourselves? Who are we? Where do we come from? Where are we? Where are we going? Where are our roots? In the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, Jesus asked Mary, where are your roots? Do you think your roots are limited to this world? We have roots. Keys of Enoch, the book of knowledge, we come from, there's a divine design, an evolutionary blueprint, and that presupposes a divine destiny, an evolutionary destiny also. And our long-term evolutionary goal on Earth was to assemble or reassemble our diamond sun matrix. Why? For progressive, transmutational, dimensional ascension. This is it. Multi-dimensional identity integration. We're built for ascension. Progressive, transmutational ascension within an eternal body, and to be caretakers of what's called the planet, not just the planetary Templar, the stargates on the Earth, but the interplanetary Templar, to be custodians, to be guardians of the series of stargates throughout the 15-dimensional time matrix. Take a deep breath. And I'd like to credit the Emerald Daughter of Melchizedek Cloister, Yesha, all my guides, the Eoni Masters, for the fullness of the information. Okay. The 3 Brenau orders, we call them Brenau. Tricia McCannon, I believe, has been in communication with the Brenau for a very, very long time. These are the founders' races, the Brenau, that seeded life into our time matrix. The last seeding, the last time life was seeded into our time matrix, this is just the most recent seeding, 950, as Carl Sagan would say, billion years ago in terms of Earth time. That's just the most recent seeding. That's just the most recent breath of the Great Mother, who takes her in breaths and out breaths, the unici, the breathing rhythm of the cosmos. Every 950 billion years, she takes it all in again, lets it mingle within herself, and then another out breath, another 950 billion year evolutionary cycle. And these Brenau orders, these races, these Brenau orders, they are bordering on meta ultra terrestrial races. Their consciousness is pure wave form, anti-matter. Pure waveform consciousness, living light, rishis, okay? And they've visited humanity during different time periods in an attempt to keep the history of humanity's original creation contract and our intended evolutionary destiny alive among the Earth human races. And the original, according to our information, the original co-evolution agreement made between the Brenau races in seeding our time matrix was called the Emerald Covenant. Watch The Wizard of Oz again, but read the book, okay? The original co-creation agreement was called the Emerald Covenant, and that was made 950 billion years ago. And in this agreement, the orders of the Brenau agreed to create various founders races to seed life into all the density levels, all the harmonic universes of our time matrix, in order to create peaceful coevolution and ascension for all of their stellar races. The original human design itself is extraterrestrial or angelic in nature, and that humans originally, the original human race, the Tura-Nusian race, originally inhabited the second harmonic universe, dimensions 4, 5, and 6. We were created as an angelic race, a race of angelic immortals, where Earth in the fifth dimension is called Tara, T-A-R-A. It goes by many, many names. Some people will actually call it heaven, the heavenly Earth. Chock full of nuts is the heavenly, sorry. Earth's true humanity, humanity's stellar genetic heritage can be found in our DNA. That's where it is to be found, okay? And in terms of the Earth human lineage, known originally as the Adam Kadmon or the Adumi Kudman, 7 root races, the original 12 tribes, 7 root races, and 7 cloister races were seeded. Each root race evolutionary cycle developed one of the first 5 strands of DNA within the 12-strand DNA template. Each cloister race carried the 7th through 12th DNA strand template that corresponds to the higher dimensional density systems, because you see, each strand of DNA is coded to process one frequency, one bandwidth of consciousness. Okay, I mean, what is a dimension? A dimension is a frequency band. What is a frequency band? It's how frequently something happens. It's a number of oscillations in a given unit of time of these adamantine particles. We call them particle. You may call them something else. The God particles. They have very fixed vibrational oscillation rhythms. And frequency is the number of oscillations of these primal particles in a given unit of time. The faster oscillation, the higher frequency, actually more in future time, but we'll talk about that probably at another time, okay? Structure of the cosmos, the structure of the universe, all that kind of stuff. But just so you know, that root race incarnates on this planet are called the Earth seeds. And the cloister race incarnates, the ones that carry the 7th through 12th DNA strands or the activation codes, they are called the star seeds. And it is the cloister races that have always kept the 12-strand DNA template potentials alive within the Earth human gene pool and represent advanced stages of evolution, now manifesting as the so-called indigo children. Boy, there's so much here. But again, I just want to, just like imagine you've got like the doorbell rang and you got a Whitman sampler. I want to give you a sampling of some of the best teachings I know. Okay, so breathe easily and gently. Okay, the cloister race human 12-strand DNA template is known as the Diamond Sun DNA. And consciousness incarnating from the Diamond Sun cloister race biology enters from usually the 10th through the 12th dimensions. This is the cradle of Lyra. These are the Christed levels, pre-matter, liquid light, liquid silica, hydroplasm, the true biologies of the Christ avatars. Buddha's bodhisattvas is liquid light, liquid crystal, liquid silica, the 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensions, the cradle of Lyra or Lyra, rockabye baby on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle of Lyra or Lyra will rock. When the bough or the seal breaks, the cradle will fall. And down will come baby, cradle and all. You see, we may have fallen to the bottom of the tree, but in each and every one of us, we carry the imprint of the cradle of Lyra, that 12-strand Diamond Sun DNA. All humans didn't have it for a while. It was the mission, one of the primary missions of the Christ avatars, the Buddhas, bodhisattvas. When you come into incarnation on this planet, you have to pass through the Earth's core, through a huge interdimensional stargate called by many the Sphere of Amenti, the Flame of Amenti, St. Peter's Gates, the Heavenly Gates, and you leave imprints of your DNA in that stargate at the core of the Earth. The larger mission of the Yeshuas, we'll talk about in a minute, was finally completed, I believe, many of us believe, by the waves of indigos coming in, leaving as we came into incarnation, leaving our 12-strand diamond sun imprint at the Earth's core. So now all incarnating souls have that same potential, that same Christed potential to activate all 12 strands. There are some of us that have a greater genetic potential. Indigo type 1s and 2s have a 12 to 24 or 24 to 48 strand potential, much, much higher activation codes. That's for another time, which a lot of you, I've talked about it on previous webinars, and I will again in future webinars, okay? Okay. A lot of us, I believe, have come from the 11th. I think we're not here because of the 6 section past lives. What sometimes we mistakenly perceive as past lives are members of our family that are placed in various space coordinates in a 3-dimensional universe. But I believe a lot of us have come from the future. Remember, what takes place in the higher dimensions happens in our future. This is one I just came out of.
Phil, can you hear me, Phil? Something's going on. Something's going on with your audio. It just kind of going in and out, very low. Let's see. All right, now I think it's back.
Okay on my end. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you're good.
Okay. So, hold on. Yes. So what happens in the higher dimensions happens in our future. When we dream, our consciousness detaches from our normal 3-dimensional focus, and it goes into some of the lower mid-astral, some of us higher. It's going into the future. It's going to the future, and we're having communion with higher versions of ourselves, higher selves, angelics, okay? The higher evolution. The secret, the gift is what we bring back from the future. And this is why we have to clear all karmic miasmic residue that either blocks the information we get from the future, from the higher selves, from the higher evolution, or it scrambles it, because everything ultimately has to be processed to the DNA. How much time do I have left so I know how to pace this?
10 more minutes. 12 minutes.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay, then I'll just focus on 2 things here. So basically, we are the externalization of the hierarchy. We are angels in the flesh. I believe a lot of us came from the 11th dimension, 10th dimensional Lyra Vega. And I hate to break this to you vegans, but all vegans are not vegan. And if that's not okay with you, well, so be it. 11th dimensional Lyra or Lyra used to be called Avion, but because of mistranslations is now known as Avalon. That's right. The true Camelot. Avalon is 11th dimensional Lyra. And this is why a lot of us see the 1111 on the clock so much. We've come from the 11th dimension, from the Christed levels, from avatar families or huge avatar collectives. We've projected our consciousness through all these interdimensional stargates. We went through the huge interdimensional stargate at the core of the Earth. And then to get into fetal integration, we have to come through one of the stargates on the Earth, the 2 stargates that correspond to the 11th dimensional Lyra Avalon stargate. And those are the Vale of Pusey in England and a little island off the coast of Ireland called the Isle of Eye. So we're programmed with the 1111. This is my best interpretation of why we see the 1111. Every time it flips over on that digital clock to 1111, it gets our attention because we're coded with the 1111. And while we're on that subject, I want to talk to you in these last 10 minutes or 10 minutes now about something very, very near and dear to my heart. So take a deep breath. Between 42 BC and 5 BC, Again, the density 5, dimensions 13 and 14 and 15, the emerald order Brenau, the Azurites, blue Syrians, the Ioni Council of Inner Earth, again intervened as they have many times in the past to redirect or to direct human evolution back upon its intended course of freedom. In 12 BC, a member of the Ioni Council, what we call the Yanas, this is beyond the time matrix, incarnated on the earth as an Essene known as Yeshua Melchizedek, Yeshua Sananda Melchizedek, who carried the 12-strand DNA template of the original second density Terran angelic human lineage. Yeshua 12 entered Earth incarnation not alone, with 2 other Ioni Council Yanas, his half-sister Kananda, Miriam, in 5 BC, and Azuria. 42 BC came first, the Roman Hebrew who later became known in biblical distortions as John the Baptist. And together they made translations of what's called the eternal cloister Torah plates, 12 holographic discs that held all the knowledge of this time matrix and what we seeded into this time matrix 950 billion years ago. Remember the 1960 movie, The Time Machine, when Weena, one of the Eloi, takes Rod Taylor into that room. We have all those dusty books and stuff like that. And she introduces him to the talking rings, those rings you spin and you get the audio downloads of Earth's history. Not a lot of time to get into it now, but together they made these translations of the Torah plates, the knowledge. Yeshua 12 authored the books of process. There were 6 large volumes detailing all the sacred science mechanics of the interplanetary Templar and the mechanics of Stargate ascension. I think Greg Braden, I remember many years ago, he was showing still photographs or some video of cave systems in Tibet, many places around the world that held these huge libraries, translations of these Torah plates. Miriam authored the 3 books of the cloisters detailing temple life and the sacred science practices of the cloisters, including sacred sex practices also of the temple priestesses, the Vestal virgins, the DNA activation codes. John the Baptist had begun the translations of these CDT plates, I believe in 10 AD, following his Melchizedek-style baptism of Yeshua before he was murdered, of course. Now, here's the thing. In a cooperative attempt to reinstate the Emerald Covenant co-evolution agreement on Earth, in 7 BC, the Emerald Covenant Nibiruian Anunnaki entered a 3rd density, an oversoul, an archangelic consciousness avatar into the Essene family lines. He carried the 9-strand DNA template through which the Anu human races could evolve from our density 1 here into the higher densities. He was named, it's difficult to pronounce, Yeshua. He was the one that was born to Joseph and Mary of the house of David. And he is referred to by the Emerald Order as Yeshua or Yeshua 9. These were 2 Christs concurrent. Essene Christ left many teachings. Yeshua 12, the translations of the Emerald Covenant, CDT plates for the Earth human lineage. Yeshua 9 left behind the teachings of the Nibiruian Council intended to assist the Anu human races, much as the indigo type 3s. That you can tell an indigo type 3, like the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other shoulder. And they're all to evolve into the Emerald, to remember the Emerald Covenant co-evolution agreement, okay? Jesus 12 left behind the primary Christic Holy Grail line lineage, the Arthurian Grail line lineage, and ascended to density 2, Tara, 27 AD. In 25 AD, Yeshua 9 was exiled to France with his family. So Mary Magdalene didn't go there alone or with child. Jesus, Yeshua 9, accompanied her with the help of the Nibiruian Council. A man named Arahabi, and all these years, I'm researching this, and all I've got was confirmation that a man named Arahabi, a Hebrew man who followed closely the teachings of Yeshua 9, was crucified in 26 AD to divert attention away from the exile of Yeshua 9. So the teachings of the two Christs, they were for a time preserved among the related Essene family lines. Council of Nicaea, of course, on behalf of the Church of Rome, Roman political interests, confiscated many of the Essene teachings, including numerous translations of the books of Yeshua 12, of Miriam, of John the Baptist. Council of Nicaea, under the direction of the Roman, what they called the Necromaton elite. This is draconian, Anunnaki, human hybrids. They omitted the true history. If I have 3 more minutes, I just want to end with something I believe is very, very important. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay. About 240,000 years ago, the human cloister races, these are called the Amenti human seed races. For the human, the Adami, the Adam Kadmon root races that carried the higher DNA count than the root races, they populated various regions of the earth. The cloister, okay. Through the Elohim of the Middle Council, a decision was made to assist the mutated Turanosian, what we call the Beli Kudim Anunnaki race of Tara. A hybrid race called the Nephites was formed by recombining the Oraphim. Now that's our original founders race, our elders race, Lyran, Syrian, Anuhazi. Lyran, Syrian, these are feline hominids, and blue Syrian, some blue Pleiadians. I think a lot of people are having contact now with blue-winged Pleiadians, and light language. Remember, a lot of light language is starting to sound the same these days. Why? Because the first light languages we're going to start channeling are the ones that are closest to us genetically. Well, here we go. Well, the Beli Kudim gene code that many carry also carry recessive elements, the Beli Kudim. They carry recessive elements of reptilian, Anunnaki, Dracon DNA. Now, this recessive draconian gene is the primary element. Contemporary Draco Zetos intruders seeking their human abductees, because this recessive draconian gene is the primary element that they're looking for in most of the abductions, negative abductions, Draco Zeta, orchestrated abductions, okay? It allows the Dracos to drive organic consciousness from the human body or absorb it entirely, then place a draconian reptilian consciousness within an otherwise human form. This is literal spirit possession, or what's called forced matrix transplant, and is being used today in a big way as the Dracos Zeta moves forward in their Earth Dominion agenda. And the reptilian DNA opens an opportunity of very easy access. This is what we're seeing playing out on the Earth now, is our genetic windows of infiltration. Genetic windows of infiltration. But just as we acknowledge it, that there are forces, intruder forces, digressive forces on the planet, realize that the moral of the story is we have a lot of friends here and there. We've got friends in high places, friends in low places, friends right here on the earth. And we really look to each other. The portal to ascension, the Wish Alliance, these are all platforms for all of us to find kinship, to find fellowship, to find kindred souls, kindred spirits, to not just share our pain, but also to share our joy and the potentials that our DNA has, and our true evolutionary blueprint, which is to ascend and to be guardians and custodians of not just the stargates on this planet, but the stargates that this planet allows access to. It's an amazing story. We'll probably talk a little bit more about it in the Earth History panel. If you want more, listen, I do offer private mentorships, one-on-one or one-on-two, or if you'd like to get a small group of people together. I love working one-on-one. You don't see a lot of that these days. the old private type mentorships. There's so much we can do one-on-one. I have many, many different programs, 24, 36, 40-week programs where I just share everything. Because you know that feeling you get when your heart is expanding so much that you can't hold it in one body, right? You know that feeling, and you just want to share everything. And that sense of not pathos, that longing, that existential longing that each and every one of us have had. And that really, that need to share with others of like minds and like hearts. So with that, Neil, I want to thank everyone for their attention, and bring yourself back to bring back the present moment focus of your consciousness and attention back to where we are right now. Alan, thank you so much. Oh, by the way, I was wondering, does everybody know that about the book, Making Contact, preparing for the realities of extraterrestrial existence?
It's not about me, but it's about you. Let me just ask you, where's this wealth of information come from? Like, where do you, because it's so original and so fresh, where do you formulate this from?
For me, a lot of it has come from physical contact with mentors and their mentors. A lot of it has come from the dream state, that I was trained in the dream state and in physical contact experience to be able to translate this information, much like
I never knew you had physical contact.
Much like many contacts that are probably out there right now.
No, I didn't know you had physical contact experience. I would have asked you about that a long time ago.
Well, let me tell you really quick, and I think this is important for people to know. My physical contact with higher intelligence has come from people just like you, like Alan, like my first wife, like my present wife. It doesn't have to be something wafting in through the windows. It doesn't have to be, you know, you don't necessarily have to be taken up in Merkaba to the higher heavens, although that's an amazing experience. Like Dr. Hertak, just like the biblical patriarchs of old. You know, I would recommend to everyone, the Academy for Future Science, AFFS.org. This is an experience that we can have, that we're beginning to have, that we're beginning to at least come into the knowledge that each and every one of us has the potential for that same kind of experience. And people have led the way. They've left those little, like Hansel and Gretel, they've left the little breadcrumbs, a path, a trail for us to follow. Same with you in your latest book, in this new book, Making Contact, the new realities of extraterrestrial existence.
Well, same with our good friend who's waiting on deck. Why don't you hang out and just say hello to Grant?
Oh, hi, Grant.
Wait, turn on your camera, Grant.
How you doing, Phil?
Hi, Grant. Good to see you. Looking forward to hearing you.
Yeah, good. I enjoyed yours. Thanks.
Phil was an inspiration for me. Like before I ever lectured Phil, I said, Phil, how do you get up there and just start talking? And he goes, you just do like this, and it just comes out of your mouth. And Phil trained me. So thank you, Phil. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's a mixed bag right there.
Okay. We'll see you on the panel later, right?
Okay. Thank you very much.
You get some sleep and we'll see you then.
Okay.